In our last video, we talked about landscapes and how easy it is to create landscapes using the Iterate platform. Now we're going to talk about trials and recipes. Basically, what happens is when a large enterprise is interested in conducting a trial through Iterate AI or with one of their startups, all you do here is go to the trial section and then you create something called a trial plan. A trial plan is nothing else but a simple log of all the trials that we've created. So let's go through an example trial plan here for one of the companies, and you do see what company is doing a trial with whom. You do see more information. You could add requirements documents, digital assets documents. If you have solution architecture, you can add that stuff. And for privacy sake, we are not showing all that stuff here. You could also tie the trial to a recipe, right? What's really interesting here is that I'm going to talk a little bit about recipe. Recipe is basically a piece of code or series of tags that you can push into an existing environment. It could be a tag based code or it could be a backend server code. At this point, we support tag based code. And we've done pre-integrations with e-commerce engines like Demandware, but we are also adding more and more integrations. So by using a trial plan, you can track startups that are online as well as offline startups. So if it's an offline, you will have this section that says recipes blank. If it's an online trial, you could just select the recipe that you've enabled online. And then once you're done with that, you can go to the bottom here. And then you can also create something called a success signal. So once a trial is done, we have a workflow for the startup to automatically click on here and get validated by the company that did the test, right? And it's automatically done via our platform. In fact, I'm not going to save this. This is a live trial that's going on, so I'm just going to cancel this. So that's a simple example of a trial plan. Now let's talk a little bit about recipes. So let me go here and create and show you some recipes. So what's really interesting on the recipe section is recipes are basically nothing else but code integrations into third-party platforms, right? So let's look at here Shoot. So Shoot is a social photo company that's really, really interesting. And then they are using a recipe where they're pushing their tags in through the Iterate.ai platform to the Demandware environment. So in this scenario, what will happen is you give a name for the recipe, you would take your code tag, in this case, the tag that they're trying to push, you would select the page that you want to push to. So depending on the integration, it will show all the different pages on their websites, on the home page, the search page, so on. You can select the pages you want to push into. Here, we are just for example's sake, we are just using one tag in one page, but this can be a series of pages, multiple pages where it can be pushed into. You select which section you want to push this code into, whether test, body, or dev. Um, and you can also enter the domain name, and then when our cartridges are in Demandware cartridges installed, we'll also generate an API key that will bind this recipe to a customer's active and Demandware environment. But what we also do is we also enable startups to quickly test these things. So we've enabled this flag called test with iterate server. The moment you do that, the code will be pushed into